Welcome everybody. Hello, bonjour. My name is Lauren Clark and I'm the project coordinator with EOS Eco Energy. And EOS is an environmental charity that has more than 17 years of experience working on community-based projects related to energy conservation, energy efficiency, renewable energy, sustainable community planning, climate change adaptation, and watershed health. And we'd like to respectfully acknowledge that our work is done on the traditional unceded lands and waters of the Mi'kmaq. If you have any questions that come up during the presentation, feel free to type them in the chat so you don't forget them, and we'll do our best to get to them during the question and answer period. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Chantal from NB Power, who will be giving the presentation. Go ahead, Chantal.
Thank you, Lauren, for arranging this webinar. First off, we'll just note that it is being recorded, but we'll turn it off afterwards to allow free questions. So I'll be presenting the New Brunswick energy efficiency programs for the commercial sector, specifically tailored today for business owners and operators, including landlords. I'll start off with a 3-minute video of a success story, and then the presentation is about 20 minutes. Then I'll invite your questions or suggestions or ask you to share your experiences. And the thing I want you to take away from the discussion is if you have renovation projects in mind that reduce your energy use, please check if you're eligible for funds from our programs before you start, as projects already started aren't eligible, so contact us for pre-approval before doing the work. So I think that you're seeing the screen with the video, and I'm going to click play on it.
Yes.
And then we'll jump into the slides.
The NB Box is a gift box business where all the gifts are made of locally made New Brunswick products by New Brunswick small businesses. The last year really skyrocketed our business. People aren't allowed to travel or see their loved ones, and we are an online-only company that helps keep people connected. NB Power met with us initially, even before renovations, even before the finalization of the purchase of the property, to give us guidance on which program we should apply for, what systems we could upgrade, what that cost might be. Like, they actually helped us really roadmap our renovation, and now we're just now getting into the execution of it, so they've been with us every step of the way. The rebate literally made the renovation possible. We could not afford to make these kinds of changes on this scale right away without the rebate. It would have been too costly. So it took it from impossible to possible. The upgrades to the heating and lighting mean significant reduction in our monthly bills. When we did the walkthrough of the business, the lighting was fluorescent tubes and all the lights worked. When the lighting upgrade was suggested to us and we made the switch, it's like 10 times brighter in here, but also we've come to realize since that acquiring fluorescent tubes is extremely expensive. Installing them is extremely finicky. They break, they burn out. It wouldn't have been a good solution, but it wasn't something that was top of mind when we bought the building. Making those upgrades ahead of time mean that we will never be overpaying from the day we start working in this facility. So it's immeasurable how much it's meant to us to be able to do it before we moved in. Any business owner that's considering the program should reach out because there's no downside. The consultation with NB Power is free. You determine if it's right for you or not. There was no trying to force us into the program. There was no selling us on it. It was, this is what could work for you if you decide to go this route.
Energy costs are something we're going to have to live with. Whatever you're going to use, you want to minimize as much as possible. And we're here to help you through that and be great stewards to the environment as well, where you're able to reduce our use on fossil fuels, especially here at the NB Box, where they're able to remove an oil furnace and replace it with a heat pump that's up to 2.5 times more efficient than what it was before. That's where we're actually looking forward to doing this more with other businesses within New Brunswick.
There's numerous factors why you would want to consider making efficient upgrades in your space, and the fact that they perform better is like a bonus. But more importantly, there's a lot of advantages to doing it that contribute to like a better sense of community and environmental awareness. We love being a small part of that way that people show each other that they care.
So that's for the video. And now I think you can see my slides.
Yes.
So I'll dive right in. So yeah, my name is Chantal Dagverrier. I'm a mechanical engineer based in Shediac, technical energy advisor at NB Power with experience in sustainable projects, consulting, engineering, and manufacturing. My role at NB Power is to work with the people of the province so that they can improve the energy efficiency of their buildings, leading to a reduction in energy costs and greenhouse gases. The efficiency programs that we're talking about today are partly funded by the Government of Canada through the Low Carbon Economy Fund, supported by the Government of New Brunswick, and NB Power is the delivery agent for New Brunswick's energy savings programs. There are two main paths for your companies in our program. The first requires an energy or feasibility study and is called the Commercial Building Retrofit Program. And the second is the Business Rebate Program for specific product replacements where energy savings for eligible products are calculated by our system. So you don't need an energy audit. So let's start with the first path. This is the way to go for renovations for building envelopes, such as adding insulation to roofs, and for renovations seeking the largest reimbursement totals, amounts up to 1.1 million. We're looking for projects that reduce energy consumption while increasing comfort, safety, reducing costs, and carbon emissions. So an example for buildings would be to replace electric baseboards with heat pumps and replace old windows. This can improve comfort, reduce electricity consumption, energy costs, and emissions. Improving of lighting can reduce stress on the eyes and also improve the safety of the site and building. Carbon reductions through energy retrofits are an important climate change mitigation action. So for the commercial sector, we're looking for the New Brunswick General Service 1 or 2 rate categories. There's also residential and industrial programs. The commercial ones include restaurants, retail, offices, hospitality, repair shops, warehouses, and food storage, as well as multi-unit residential buildings. So the larger residential projects that could apply are the installation of solar panels that produce electricity or heat water, improvements to building envelopes such as insulation of walls or roof, also air leakage reductions, windows and door replacements. So for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, this includes units for each of the building areas or larger systems serving common areas or the entire building. Improvements or replacements of building systems such as heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems include heat pumps and exhaust fans. Control systems that reduce consumption are also eligible, and lighting, which can produce significant savings and be a good investment if you haven't upgraded your fixtures to LED yet. So the first step for the commercial building retrofit program is obtaining an energy audit carried out by one of the approved energy management service providers. And a portion of the cost is paid by NB Power. The amount is determined based on the size of the building and the cost of the study, with the initial incentive of 50% of the cost of the study up to the initial maximum. So what's new here is that there's also an incentive to encourage the implementation of measures. So as an example, a class 2 size building, if 2 energy efficiency measures are completed, up to 5,000 can be reimbursed against the costs of the audit. So this could be a building of 20,000 square feet or 2,000 square meters. They would receive $2,200 once the audit is done and paid. And then the balance, the $2,800, to make the total of $5,000, would be paid when 2 energy efficiency measures are implemented. So that can cover up to 100% of the audit in some cases. Here we see who the approved energy auditors are, and their contact information is provided on the website. It can be found at saveenergymb.ca under business, commercial buildings, retrofit program, list of service providers. So these providers will visit your facility, collect information about your building systems, your operations, and also your historical energy use. They'll produce a report detailing their analysis, assumptions, findings, and recommendation. They'll tell you how your energy is being spent, which systems consume the most, and what are the renovations that would have the most positive impacts, along with the estimated costs to implement. So this can be a really good roadmap for a business. We also have the option, instead of the audit, of doing a feasibility study. Now, this is new to the program for cases where, rather than a study of the entire building, it's a feasibility study focused on a particular project. So as an example, if you were looking to obtain a solar system and you wanted to get the incentives, but you're not ready to do a full energy audit, you could get a study specific to solar and gain access to the implementation incentives. The difference, though, is that the incentives that we talked about for the energy audit, they're not applicable to the feasibility study. So they offer flexibility, but you're skipping over those initial reimbursements. So projects that have been pre-approved by submitting either the energy audit or the feasibility study can be eligible for implementation incentives. And for projects that reduce electricity consumption, this is up to $100,000. The amount is calculated from the energy savings forecast per year. So it'll be in gigajoules, and that'll be multiplied by $30 or $40, depending on the type of project, up to the maximum of 100,000. And for a limited time, buildings that consume propane, natural gas, oil, or wood, the low carbon economy funds will be able to reimburse up to 25% of construction costs for pre-approved projects up to $1 million. So this means if you spent $4 million upgrading the building envelope on a larger business, for example, that's heated with natural gas, you could receive $1 million against those costs, for a total of 1.1 between this 1 million and the 100,000 for the electrical. So this aspect of it, the 25%, are funds from the federal government, and they're available until the end of 2023 or until the funds are exhausted. So the projects must be submitted to our team, completed by December 31st, 2023. So the first step for this program is getting the audit. The provider will submit your information to our team, who will contact you for the next steps. And these are our team details. You're welcome to contact us to ask your questions. So that's the details of the first program. So as a summary, it requires the energy audit or the feasibility study, and the incentives are based on the energy saved during the first year or the construction costs, depending on the fuel type. So now we'll jump into the second program, which is the business rebate program. It's been in existence for just over a year, so it's relatively new. It applies to commercial and industrial buildings. It also requires pre-approval like the first one, but you don't have to do the energy audit. It's focused on specific product replacements. So if you have a piece of equipment and you replace it by more efficient equipment. And this one will also reimburse 25% of eligible construction costs, not including taxes, up to $250,000. The program is also funded by the Low Carbon Economy Fund that ends in December 2023, or until the funds are exhausted. So it's first come, first served. At the moment, the funds are in good shape, but if you have projects in mind, I would encourage you to start as soon as practical. So we see here the categories. There's lighting, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and the full guidelines are a PDF document, and you can see the details for each type of products of what can be eligible. Heat pumps and lighting can go through this program, but for example, building envelope components don't. So for the components that can go through both programs, we can help you decide which one is the best one at the moment. In some cases, the incentives are better in one program than the other. So you could do your energy audit, get your roadmap, and then choose to put some of the measures through the business rebate program to apply for the incentives. But you can only get the incentives from one of the two programs. The building can be registered in both, but heat pumps, for example, would only go through one or the other. So the first step for the business rebate program is a simple online form. The second step is to provide a description of the work, specifications, estimated costs. This information will be reviewed, and if it's eligible, you'll receive a pre-approval. And then the project can be implemented. So you start your construction. Once it's complete, we will receive your request for payment, and the incentive is given to you by direct deposit. So again, here's our contact information. This is the end of the presentation.